Very special guest here on the Ford Sports Extra tonight. We go back a whole ways together. Little Joe Washington from Oklahoma. How about it, Joe, huh? Back to the 70s?
Hey, we do go back a long way, Chris.
Had some great times, of course. I think back to your career at Oklahoma, 72 to 75, two-time All-American, 2 times up in the Heisman Trophy voting. But the thing that stood out, of course, the national championships, and what great teams back then.
Well, you know what? I think that's what probably, get a lot of players, notice and, keep them around. The mere fact that, that you've won games and you win national championships. Now, of course, if you rush for a lot of yards, yeah, that's good. But, when you can say you've won 2 national championships, you never lost to Texas, never lost to OSU, never lost to Nebraska, that's pretty special there.
Well, you have some great memories, Joe, and I always think back to maybe the greatest punishment I've ever seen that really was a negative. And, of course, I'm talking about that fabulous one at USC where your dad was mad at you and Coach Switzer, too.
Well, what's funny, after I finished, and I was – and just shows you, Coach took me out because he knew I was tired.
Yeah.
So I came out, and the first person I see is Coach Wendell Mosley.
Oh, yeah.
And he's laughing. He just loved every minute. Now, he may not have loved every minute up, when I was heading back, but once I started heading back the other way, I'm sure he was really grinning. So when I came to the sideline, he had this big chaw in his mouth, and he was just smiling like a chess cat. Coach comes over to me, and I can see the look on his face when he's got to tell me something.
Yeah.
So he does. He says, "Little Joe, don't do that," and then he just dies laughing. So he knew he had to say something, but he understood. It was. Right before half.
Yeah, at USC at the Coliseum.
Yeah, trying to make something happen. Yeah. And, one block or me making another move. I should have probably gone the other way, at the end, right, and would have scored. But, that's how it goes.
Ended up being, what, -7 yards or something? Yeah,
that is.
I remember old friend Wendell Mosley, the late Wendell Mosley, your backfield coach, the guy that recruited you out of Port Arthur, Texas, said Little Joe had the Zuzus. Yeah. What did he mean by that? And we've seen it so many times on tape. Incredible moves.
Well, you know what? To this day, I never understood exactly what that meant. But I could kind of take it, as far as in content, moves, change of directions. I could do that. I could run sideways, backwards, change directions. It was really always tough for me to run in a straight line. I don't know, for whatever reason, just you always thought somebody was going to get you if you ran in that straight line, so I didn't. But Coach came up with that, and I think he came up with that because he was getting interviewed. He couldn't think anything else, so he made it up.
Well, you retired, of course, as Oklahoma's all-time leading rusher. Then I don't know if people really follow that much, but went into a heck of a pro football career. 10 years in the NFL, drafted number 4 in the first round by the San Diego Chargers, but really made your name, and a good friend of mine, Sam Huff, talks about you with the Washington Redskins.
Hey, you know what? I was a huge Charger fan and a huge Colts fan. Never rooted for the Redskins. I don't know why, with the name Washington and Washington, you would think you would, sort of bring them together. But I tell you what, I had a wonderful career at with the Redskins. And again, I rushed for a lot of yards, caught a lot of passes in Baltimore. But when I got to Washington, we won. Went to a Super Bowl.
Won two
Super Bowl. Yeah, won one, lost one. So, the funny thing is, you remember winning. I do. And I was fortunate enough to finally get on a winning team with the Redskins. Hey, look, when you win all the games you won in college and then you go your first 6, 7 years to the pros and you're finishing in the doldrums, that is payback for all that stuff we put on other folks. But, it was great. I love Washington. Sam was always real cool to me around there. It was just a great experience.
And now, of course, you came back to your alma mater, back to running the O Club at the university.
Well, I enjoy that because it allows me, because I am a letter winner, to sort of be a advocate for, our cause, to make sure that, they understand, how important it is to acknowledge, your letter winners, the people who paid, the people who, laid the foundation for what is now the University of Oklahoma, one of the greatest football schools. Well, sports traditions, sure, in the country. And, we have a lot of players that come back, they support. We want to make sure they understand that, we'll leave the light on for you when you go back. Just stay in contact with us. And they do a lot for us. Guys support me. And I promise you, I've probably talked to out of my 74 and 75 team, I probably talked to those that are living probably 85 or 90% of them. And they're a good, close group. And that is the greatest part of this job, is the fact that I get to do that and spend time with my coach.
Well, Joe, what is the next great running back coming from for Oklahoma? Any of the pipelines on the roster we know of? Look ahead for the future stars?
Well, you know what? I think, today's offense is probably, put that runner at wide receiver for the most part. I think, guys are playing out there because they know they get the football a great deal. They're getting a chance to get the football in space, so that allows them to be able to run the football a little bit more. But I think it's going to be tough unless, in high school they start changing their thought process on giving the football to the kid and making sure that he can practice those skills running in between the tackles where there aren't a lot of wide spaces or anything.
Finally, I got to ask you the great story, and Coach Richard loves to tell it, about the very controversial silver shoes. Everybody was going nuts about the silver shoes, and Coach didn't seem to mind at all.
Well, he really didn't. I just say I was one of the most fortunate and lucky people on the planet to be able to come to this place at that time with him being here, with the type of players I'd had here. And, when he allowed me to wear those shoes and he told me it was okay, this is how he said it. We're looking at film.
Yeah.
And I just had a game. This is my first time basically doing them. Had a good game, and those shoes, they look great on film, and I know somebody noticed them. So Coach gets to a play where I, make a run, pretty good run, good yardage, and he comments on it. He's offensive coordinator. He comments, runs it back, comments, runs it back. And then after a while, he stops commenting, he just runs it back. I'm sitting back there in the dark wondering, what is he doing? And I know he's looking at those shoes. And I'm hoping he doesn't say anything. But what he does, he turns the projector off, and he hollers back at me, "Little Joe, what are those things on your feet?" And you could barely hear him. I said, "Coach, those are my silver shoes." And I'm just waiting for something else to come out. And he says, "Okay." Turns the projector back on, never says another word. And that's typical Coach. And like I said, one of the greatest things about me being back here at this particular time is I do get to spend time with him.
Joe, great to have you back. Thanks for all the great memories and the long-time friendship. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, my pleasure.
Joe Washington on the Ford Sports Extra.